Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back from what was hopefully a very restful break, and thank you for joining us on today's webcast. To begin, I want to take this opportunity to introduce myself. As many of you may already know me, others do not. My name is Kevin Brown, and I'm pleased to serve as the Interim Commissioner of Education. I'm also happy to be back at KDE, where I served previously in various roles over the past 16 years. During my first few weeks here back at the department, I've been fortunate to be able to talk to many of you, and I hope to complete the list of superintendents and talk to all of you personally over the next few days. I want to make sure that when I contact you, you know that you can reach out to me. We expect continuity of excellent service here at the department, and we want to make sure that we're supporting you in your roles as superintendents and at the district level. The first update I want to share is related to the commissioner search. As was approved by the Kentucky Board of Education as December meeting, the request for proposal was posted on December 20th for procurement of a search firm to assist with the selection of the next Commissioner of Education. The board will meet this Friday, January 17th, to discuss and approve an RFP evaluation team that will decide next steps. We hope to have more information to you soon and on our next webcast about the Commissioner of Education search process. We know that everyone is interested in this, and the board is very anxious to go about this search process in a quick but also a very deliberate way to make sure that we select the best possible candidate for our next Commissioner of Education. And as the interim commissioner, I am also very excited for them to proceed with this quickly. I also want to mention that we are going to seek permission from the state board at the meeting on the 17th to issue a survey to all education constituency groups, superintendents, as well as members of the general public to solicit what you consider to be the desired characteristics of the next commissioner. The state board will utilize this information and relay that to the search firm in coming weeks to make sure that the search firm and all involved in the commissioner search process understand the characteristics that are desired by all Kentuckians for the new Commissioner of Education. I also want to share with you, as we particularly begin the new year and for many of you a new semester, I want to share some changes that have occurred at the department level. Todd Allen, many of you know, has previously been Assistant General Counsel and Deputy General Counsel, has been named the Interim General Counsel. Tracy Herman, who you're going to hear from in a few minutes, is serving as the Interim Director of Government Relations. You all have heard from Tracy in years past, and she has graciously agreed to come on to assist me while I'm Interim Commissioner to work with our General Assembly members and other members of government. Also, tomorrow, Tony Cons-Tapman will join us as the Interim Director of Communications. Many of you know, I am on loan from the Jefferson County Public Schools. I got to know Tony better during my work in Jefferson County, but before that, when I was at the department, if you may remember, Tony served as a reporter for the Courier-Journal and WDRB, and she has graciously agreed to come on an interim basis to coincide with my term as interim commissioner to serve as our interim communications director, and she begins tomorrow. That MOA with the department was approved by the Jefferson County Board of Education for her to come here last night. I also want to thank Superintendent Polio as well as Renee Murphy, the Director of Communications in Jefferson County, for agreeing to allow her to come here and assist us during this time. And then one of the things I'm most excited about is we're doing a small little reorganization to bring back the Office of Teaching and Learning. And many of you know Dr. Amanda Ellis, who has served in a variety of roles over the years for the department and in school districts. She has agreed to take on this role again as the Associate Commissioner over the Office of Teaching and Learning. This office is going to be dedicated to the work of academic standards, Title II, Part A work around supporting excellent teaching and leadership, and also putting an additional emphasis on counseling and the services we provide to our school counselors and students through school counselors. We believe, after receiving feedback from the field, that this is an example, by recreating this office, how we can be responsive to the needs of districts. And with all the recent changes in these areas, our hope is that the reestablishment of this office will be of value to everyone in school districts throughout the state. Again, I want to thank you again for joining us. As a reminder, as you watch the webcast, we encourage you to send questions by logging into the Go Soapbox platform. The link for that platform and the code can be found at the bottom of your screen. I'm now going to turn it over to Tracy Herman. She is going to give us a very brief update on the legislative process and the General Assembly that is already underway. We anticipate dedicating the February Superintendent Webcast to the majority of that time to a legislative update and budget update as we know more about bills that are moving through the General Assembly, as well as by that time we will have received the governor's budget proposal, and we'll have more information about that. But we wanted to bring Tracy back just for a few minutes today to talk about what all is going on, as we say, across the river.
Across the river. Lots going on across the river. Hi. Thank you, Commissioner Brown. A couple of things. This is the first full week of the General Assembly's action. We did not have the regular committee meeting for the House Education Committee. It will be on Thursday along with the Senate Education Committee. They're not going to be considering any bills that have been dropped so far this session. They are going to be doing just meetings to discuss a couple of big issues that have been discussed during the interim and to see how things are moving. So at the Senate Education Committee meeting this week, we're going to have an update on the school safety bill from this past session. All of the interested groups who have been working to implement all of the legislation regarding the school safety bill will be presenting, including the Department of Education, on status and efforts to date to meet the legislative mandates in the legislation. The House Education Committee meeting is also meeting tomorrow, and they are going to have a special meeting upon adjournment, and they're just going to be taking a look at statewide assessment. I think there's been some questions with so many changes and the updates to the state accountability and assessment system and the update to the state plan, where all that is for the General Assembly, and they just want an update on what that looks like for us and for local districts, how testing is managed at the local district leveling as well. So those are the two big topics for this week, with no bill consideration for the major education committees. As many of you probably saw on KET last night, the governor provided his State of the Commonwealth address. We will see the State of the Budget address on Tuesday, January 28th, and at that time we'll see the budget actually be delivered to the House of Representatives, and we'll see what he includes in his budget, though he's giving us some indication in his speech last night and his public comments. Obviously, education is going to be a focus, and we're looking forward to seeing what those provisions are. A few items just for the department. We are meeting with all of the K groups and all of affiliated agencies and groups about education policy, K-12, and any other questions for related education issues, higher education and other things that impact the department. So if things come up and you need some assistance on anything or have input, please feel free to contact us and let us know. A couple of things. We'll be sending out an update in Commissioner Brown's next email to superintendents. We'll give you an update on what all the major pieces of legislation that's been dropped to date that's related to elementary and secondary education. We'll also include links to the Legislative Research Commission's website about calendars so that you can see if there's any changes to the state's regular session calendar. You know how they move dates occasionally, especially as we get toward the end. They've built in a little extra time before April 15th when they have to adjourn. And also the committee schedules. This week's a little bit of an anomaly, but I think next week after the state holiday, we'll get on a really regular schedule for committee meetings for all committees, and there'll be a lot of action happening pretty quickly over the next few weeks. We'll see a lot more activity probably after the governor's budget address, but I do know that the state's, the General Assembly's budget committees will start looking at agency requests. The information has already been delivered to them, obviously, for the budget requests from agencies like the department and others, and they have already had some questions about that, but we'll start having public meetings about that and what that looks like for all of the agencies, including the department. So if there's questions about that, we'll be following up with that as well. Again, my email will be available. If there are any questions, I'm happy to try to fill those as we move into the next segment.
Thank you, Tracy. And again, I want to reiterate that the email for Tracy is on the slide, and please feel free to utilize that if you have questions about any bill in the General Assembly, or you also see the State Board of Education at the meeting this Friday, we'll approve a legislative agenda. And if you have any questions about that agenda after that's released, please relay those questions to Tracy. Also, questions about the budget or KDE's budget request can be sent to Tracy and or Charlie Harmon, Robin Kinney, myself. We will all try to field those questions. Also want to make sure you know we work hand in hand with your various membership groups, the K groups as we refer to them. We meet with them weekly to discuss during the General Assembly to discuss legislation and particularly areas where we are in agreement and can work together on behalf of Kentucky's kids. So those meetings are ongoing. We had our first one last week. We would continue to have those relationships with those groups, and we value that relationship. The main portion of our webinar today is going to talk about the Impact Kentucky Survey, which is a very important activity that occurs to survey the working conditions for Kentucky's teachers. I'm pleased to have Meredith Brewer here today, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
Hello. If you have any questions about the survey that you would like to share during the webcast, please use the Go Soapbox account. We have already received lots of questions from the email that Interim Commissioner Brown sent about the survey, and we are working to respond to all of those, and we do appreciate the feedback. So this year, we're excited to share that we have the 2020 Impact Working Conditions Survey. This will replace TEL, which was the working conditions survey that we had offered previously since 2011. This survey gives teachers an opportunity to impact Kentucky with their voice by providing feedback on the working conditions in their schools. This year we have a new name, a new survey, and a new survey provider, but we'll have the same reliable data. The TEL survey was administered through a vendor called the New Teacher Center. That organization no longer offers the survey, so we had a process to select a new vendor, and Panorama Education will be partnering with us for this survey. The survey was developed with a steering committee, and the membership of that steering committee is available on our website, as well as the KDE project team. So the survey window actually opened this past Monday and will be open through February 21st. The way that we were able to distribute the codes for the survey was through a school survey coordinator. Those individuals were identified through our communications with the site-based coordinator at the district level. If you have any questions about who your school survey coordinator is for your schools, please do reach out to us, and we're happy to share that information so that we can be sure everyone has access to those codes. Those codes will be sent electronically and then downloaded by the survey coordinator and then distributed directly to the teachers. The 2020 Impact Kentucky Survey was developed with the steering committee, which was comprised of teachers, principals, superintendents, and stakeholders from groups around the state. We worked with Panorama to review the TEL survey content, as well as Panorama's question bank. We wanted to be sure that the survey questions produced reliable and valid data that could be used to make important changes in the school setting. We have 8 different constructs that are included in the survey: professional learning, feedback and coaching, school leadership, staff leadership relationships, resources, managing student behavior, educating all students, and school climate. The survey is much shorter than TEL. TEL was approximately 180 questions, and the new survey is 77. So it will only take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. So we wanted to respect teachers' time by having a shorter survey. So who is eligible to take the survey? All certified educators who work at least half a day in the school building are eligible to take the survey. That includes teachers, principals, assistant principals, and other education professionals such as school counselors or social workers. If they have an EPSB issued certificate, then they would qualify. This does not include central office staff, school employees who do not hold a professional certificate, or individuals on emergency certification. So we wanted to speak about how those educator accounts were developed. So the number of access codes delivered to each school coordinator was produced through the Fall October Munis report, and it includes all educators with active certifications based on school location. Educators with expired certificates would not be included in those total counts. And it is important to remember that the principal, assistant principal, speech language pathologist, counselor, school psychologists, and other certified educators assigned to the school are eligible to take the survey. So if your counts are not matching up with the number of certified teachers that you have in the building, that is okay. We will be reaching out about the third week of the survey, so around January 27th, to each of the school survey coordinators to determine the number, either the number of survey codes that were distributed or the number of codes that they still have, so that we can have an accurate count, so that when we're reporting response rates, we have an accurate number of surveys that were distributed, survey codes. If you could please, we want to have any extra codes shredded, and we'll be communicating that to our school survey coordinators. So any additional codes after they've been distributed to all qualifying teachers, those should be shredded. If you have any questions about how those counts were generated, please do reach out. So the school survey coordinator, as I said, will print and distribute those. Many of our schools have already taken the survey, which is fantastic. We want to have as many people take the survey as possible. If you have been contacted that a school is aware that the survey is available and they have not had a chance to take the survey, please do reach out. We'll make sure that that school coordinator received the email. Because it is sent from our vendor Panorama, it's possible that it went into their junk folder, and so we'll be communicating to make sure that we get those codes to them. Each code contains directions and a random 10-digit code. We do want to stress that the survey is entirely anonymous. There is no way for anyone to link back the respondents to their responses. It is a randomly generated code that they will go to the survey link, enter that code, and be able to respond to the survey there. Those code letters have just one code per page. We did send There we go. We did send 5 extra codes in addition to the count that we had, in case someone were to misplace their code, lose their code, and felt like they needed to have an additional code so that they could complete the survey. Our school survey coordinators were sent 5 extra codes. We do want to be sure that each teacher just takes the survey one time, and so the school coordinators are aware that they should only distribute those in exceptional situations. If you have someone who has distributed all their codes and they need more, they can reach out to Panorama directly at the email address on the screen and ask for an additional code to be sent to the school coordinator. But we do want to, if you have more codes than you think you need, please do confirm that all of those eligible individuals have had a chance to complete the survey. It's possible that our counts are different because it should include anyone that is a certified educator based on the definition that I shared. So our school survey coordinators are able to monitor responses. We do want to have as high of a response rate as possible because that will provide the most actionable data for each school. The more respondents, the better capturing of the school conditions that would be possible. So those school survey coordinators are able to log in through Panorama's portal and report back the percentage of responses that have been received at that point. You need to have at least 50% participation for schools or districts to be able to receive that data. If there are less than 50% of certified educators completing the survey, then that data will not be shared in any form. So that will not be included or be available for schools or districts. So at minimum, schools need to have a 50% response rate to have access to that data. And of course, as I said, the higher the response rate, the better. That's the best way to get a true picture of what's happening in the schools. Superintendents and principals may also have access to this response dashboard. There is a link that would be available in the PowerPoint that will be shared, and you can also reach out to Panorama directly, and they will provide that link so that you can register if you are interested in being able to see the percent of responses in a given school or within your district. So you are able to. All school survey coordinators will automatically receive this information. Superintendents or principals will need to reach out to have access to that. So survey results will be available in mid to late March. Schools will be, the administrators will be able to look at the results by topic, and we hope that with the modifications that were made to the survey that this data will be helpful and actionable. We want these results to be used by the schools to improve working conditions. This is an opportunity for teachers to share their perceptions of the school climate, and it is really intended to be used for school improvement. I do want to clarify that this is not the quality of school climate and safety student survey that will be administered in the spring as part of state testing. I know we've received some questions where people were confused about that. This survey, Impact Kentucky, is replacing the TEL Working Conditions Survey. This is an optional survey that is provided for teachers. The survey that will be administered as part of the state testing is a student survey that is required as part of accountability. So the Impact Kentucky survey does not play into any part of the accountability system. So I just wanted to emphasize that again. This is not part of the accountability formula at all. So results will be available in March. The winner's circle that we had previously with Impact Kentucky will also be announced. Those will be those schools and districts that had the highest response rates, and we'll be celebrating those individuals who had the top response rates. We want to, as I said, with all surveys, the more people that can take it, the better picture of what's really happening. So that is really why we want to encourage participation. So if you are able to encourage your schools to complete it, that is something that will really benefit your administrators, because then they will have that data about their faculty's perceptions of the school environment. So in March, once that data is released, we will have an opportunity to partner with Panorama to provide professional learning related to the data that is shared. We want this data to grow educator capacity for analyzing the working conditions results, and so we want to be able to provide support for our administrators to be able to make sense of the data and use it in a way that improves the working conditions. We hope to provide impactful workshops and professional development. Those will be provided by Panorama as well as our staff to support the usage of this data. We want to support our district and school leaders to analyze and take action, and we want to build data capacity and develop best practices for driving focused action. Panorama has experience delivering these workshops in 125 plus districts with a focus on building that data capacity. So we're excited to partner with them this year. We really feel like that will be an important addition to this experience. If you would like any additional information about the Impact Survey, you can visit the Impact Kentucky website, which is impactky.org. We will have the Impact Kentucky webinar and slide deck posted on there, as well as an extensive FAQ. If you had any specific questions, likely the answer is on that FAQ. If not, please feel free to email us at impactkentucky@education.ky.gov, or reach out to our product manager, Kathy White, in my office, and she will be happy to respond. Again, I just want to reiterate that survey responses are anonymous, so anonymity is a critical component of the working conditions survey, and the Impact Kentucky survey is no different. We want to really reassure you that this survey is anonymous. I have spoken with our vendor at length about this, and as a survey researcher, I can confirm that this is an anonymous survey. We will not ask any questions that refer to an individual educator or administrator. The survey does not connect a teacher or principal to any particular response, and demographic information is combined with other respondents from across the school, and you need to have a minimum of 10 respondents in a category for that data to be reviewed. So if you have in the demographic data, if, for example, for the primary grades teachers, if there's only 5 primary grades teachers in your building, then that data would not be able to be shared by that one particular subgroup. So all data is anonymous, and you need at least 10 responses to look at any group, and we need at least 50% response rate for the entire school for that data to be shared. So we're excited about this survey. We think it's an important part of our support for schools, and we do hope that if you have any questions, you'll reach out to us so that we can provide prompt responses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meredith. And I want to see if we have any questions.
We actually do not have questions at this time.
All right, please, and is there an ability to email questions if you're watching it from an archive?
Yes, so if they want to ask any questions specific to impact, definitely use the email that is in that PowerPoint. We'll send that out as soon as possible. Any questions for Tracy or for Kevin, the emails are available specifically for legislative questions. Tracy's email address was in there, and we'd be happy to address any concerns you may have. So we'll ensure that that is all in the email.
Thank you, Amanda, Melissa, and or Meredith and Tracy. I want to thank all of you for joining us for today's webcast. I do want to issue an apology to the superintendents, members of KEDC. We inadvertently scheduled this webcast. I think your meeting started at 2:30. We strive not to do that, and that was an oversight on our part. We know that there is benefit to watching this live. Many of you prefer to watch it live. Others watch it archived, but when you watch it live, you do have the opportunity to submit the question live as well, and others can hear the answers if you do that. So again, we will strive not to book over co-op or other important meetings in the future. I want to also reiterate what Dr. Ellis said, to always email or call us with questions. We provided that information on the webcast. Also, don't forget when you watch this to forward this link to the webcast to others in your district that need to know this information. And again, it will be archived for future availability. I also want to encourage you to email me directly with topics that you would like to see covered in future webcasts. As I indicated in February, we will spend quite a bit of time at that webcast going over the what's going on in the General Assembly. But if there are issues that you think that we have not covered or we need to cover, and you want to hear the perspective of the department or others that we can bring in, please, we're welcome. We want to welcome your ideas and thoughts on those items. I hope everyone, again, is having a great semester, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you and have a great day.